Welcome to a windswept Darcy Street for what should be an absolute cracker to close out PlayStation 4 NPL Tasmania round 8. It's South Hobart up against the reigning champions Olympia FC Warriors. Conditions far from favourable for football, but two teams that always seem to bring the best out of each other coming toe-to-toe today at the Theatre of Dreams. I'm Damien Gill from FFT, bringing this one live to you with Big Drewster Andrew Cooling by my side. He's just picking up a phone call from one of his adoring fans, so I'll keep blabbing on for a moment as we have a look at the mega wall. Game graphic on one side and Olympia warming up in the other. Really like the introduction of the mega wall from Ash Wilkes, just continues to innovate. It's a massive clash for South Hobart in particular. Zebras yesterday more or less dropping 2 points. It was top v bottom and they drew with the Northern Rangers, which is a big opportunity for South Hobart to bridge the gap. For Olympia, it also presents an opportunity for them. If they can get a result today, they're back in the mix. And I think Glenn McNeil would smell that opportunity today. Interesting to see Olympia also seem to unearth a new recruit in Big Glynn coming on board. We'll speak about that a little bit more later. Now that Andrew seems to have dealt with his fan mail, we'll introduce you. Welcome, Andrew Cooling.
Good to be here, Gilly. Just taking care of a few issues up north with the stream of the women's game. If you're not interested in tuning to this one, or if you want to get the little two tabs going with two games, we've got two streaming out you this afternoon, Launceston City and Taroona up in the Women's Super League. But we're here covering this one, and as you've touched on, it is howling winds at Darcy Street. Really just an awful day for
horrendous
football.
Conditions.
And it seems to be going straight to the right of your TV screens. So it should be a significant advantage whoever kicks that way first, you'd imagine. It's going to be really tough sledding kicking into this wind because it is quite strong. You can see the trees just really moving around in the back line. So a really cracking contest, this one. It should be, Gilly. Every time they meet, there seems to be some kind of excitement. They've met twice this year. 6-3 on the opening day of the season. A real statement from South Hobart. And then they met 2 weeks ago on this very ground, with South Hobart again winning 3-2 after trailing 2-1. And I'd expect more of the same today. There's always goals, there's always excitement, and I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I think conditions like this seem to be a bit of a leveller, Drewster. It can mean for a really tight affairs, and I'd be expecting that today. Probably doesn't help the stylings of both these teams. They generally like to... well, actually, maybe it will, because they don't go the hoofball much at all. They like to keep it on the carpet and move it around and shift it around. But having said that, they're just not conditions that are conducive to good football in any way, shape or form, really. I think we might see just some more straightforward stuff, just trying to get it up the park and trying to get it moving. We'll move on to the home side, Drewster, if you can take us through South Hobart's lineup for today.
In goals, we've got number 1, James Wilson, the keeper. He's come under a little bit of criticism from his coach earlier in the week. He'll be looking to bounce back here. Obviously, big shoes to fill with Kane Pearce departing, and we'll be interested to see how he bounces back today. Number 2, Loic Farrell, the Frenchman, really reliable left back. Won't have to contend with Warren Wadawu today, who's out of the Olympia side. He'll probably be breathing a sigh of relief there, and he might look to get forward a little bit. The other fullback will be number... I think he'll be wearing 3, Connor Schmidt. He'll probably slot into right back in place of Liam Quayle, who's suspended after his red card last week. What a harsh red card, but Schmidt, an excellent young fullback, gets his first chance of the year, and he'll be looking to kind of nail down a starting 11 spot. The centre-backs we suspect will be Matt Lewis and Dan Brown. Oscar Thomas has been left on the bench. Thought he might come in for his first start of the year, but it looks like Brown and Lewis will be the centre-halves. In midfield, Jack Turner, Nick Morton, Kobe Kemp. Really good midfield trio there. Some real toughness. You got the silk of Kemp and the long-range goal-scoring threat that he brings. Morton too, not shy of a goal. A spectacular finish from him last week. And then a front 3, which features for the first time another man getting his first start of the season.
Oh, hammer time from the first minute this week.
A bit of the hammer time. Hamlett had an impact off the bench. He's got some real pace. They'll look to get him behind the Olympia back four with him. He'll be joined up top with big Albie Leszczynski, the star striker who's having some sort of season up top. and a man who switches flanks occasionally, Darcy Hall. He'll probably start on the right, but they tend to switch their wingers quite frequently. So that's the front three, or who knows, maybe it'll be a 4-4-2. We're yet to really figure out. Morton, I suppose, could play wide. We'll see what happens with that team selection. On the bench, Oscar Thomas, the first time we've seen him on the team sheet for the year. Such an impressive young centre-half. Dominated that FFA Cup game last year, and I thought maybe he might get a start. I suppose they've been perhaps a bit taken by surprise by the big, tall figure up top for Olympia today. His height could have been useful, but the physicality of Brown will probably be what they use to negate him. Alfred Hess and Michael Hess. So the Hess squared sitting on the pine for South Hobart. Number 10, Alex Walter. I'd expect to see him at some point today.
I'm almost certain his name's Matthew. But happy to call him Mikey, Big Mikey Hess.
Right, well,
yeah, I thought it was Matthew. So there we go. That is the South Hobart team. Drewster will move into the Olympia FC Warriors lineup. Starting in between the sticks, it's young Rowan Gillum, an impressive young goalkeeper. Interesting to see him in Spiro Paradisus battling injury, but it gives an opportunity to Rowan Gillum to try and just cement himself a spot on this side. And he's a quality shot stopper, a good distributor. His worry might be in the air, and the high ball coming in, some big frames pour forward. It might be interesting to see how Gillum deals with those ones, but I'm really interested and really keen to see him play straight up against one of the premier teams in the state. Now, defence for Olympia today, they've had different makeups all year pretty much. Today I think you'll see Drake and George Vavakos on the flanks, and centrally you'll see Vandermeer and Aidan Farquhar. So good to see the skipper out there, Farquhar back in the mix, and Vavakos and Drake, who have both played centrally at times this season on the flanks. Into midfield, Harrison Thomas, of course, former South Hobart player, will play in midfield. Gavin Hoy, you'd expect to operate in midfield given the starting lineup. Nick Mearns, Shay Hickey. It looks like it might be interesting. Really tough to pick this lineup. Maybe Hoy wide, actually, after looking at that. So it'll be Hickey, Mearns and Thomas. And then Hoy on one of the flanks. Graham Glynn, the new recruit, Irish player. He's got some serious height about him.
Major height about him.
Yeah, formidable. Just really looks like the type that could cause a few problems from the set piece. Yet to see him actually kick a ball, but just an imposing figure on stature alone. So you'd expect to see him operate in the number 9 role, and then on the other flank it'll be Joel Samet, the youngster from Olympia. On the bench in reserve, the lettuce farmer Nick Meredith, Jack Cullen, number 18, Brayton Allen, another Olympia Warriors youngster, number 20, and Mitchell Stalker, the reserve goalkeeper, who Olympia would be hoping has no involvement in this one. We're not far away from the kickoff of this clash as the two teams line up here at Darcy Street. What is a massive clash. You can see right there, Drewster, if Olympia get the chocolates today, they draw within 1 point of South Hobart, and then there'd be a little buffer to the top two, but it would mean Olympia would be back in the frame.
They would. South Hobart certainly don't want that gap to the top couple of teams increasing anymore. Zebras had a slip up yesterday. Devonport took full advantage of it. They'll be looking to do the same today. They triumphed over Olympia in a cracking cup tie a couple of weeks back here. The win today means I think we could certainly expect to see some fairly ugly football at times. Big Glynn up top. Expecting him just launch the ball and play a bit of aerial ping pong, if you like, to his head. He is a massive unit. It's going to be a big factor. A bit of young colour about him, I reckon. We'll see if he can head a ball just as well. And certainly it's going to be tough, especially on both the goalkeepers. A youngster for Olympia just stepping in for just his second league start of the year, and James Wilson, who's not been in the best form for South Hobart. They're going to have a real tough time trying to deal with the ball in the air today, because it is going to be swirling about. I think both teams would love to get the ball wide and just cross it in.
Sorry to interrupt. These conditions are absolutely woeful.
The rain's come to boot now.
I have not seen conditions this bad this season, that's for sure. So it's going to be a real test, and it's going to be a great leveler, I think. I think this one's going to be tight no matter what. it's a big opportunity for both sides, really. South Hobart to maximise on that slip up from the Zebras, and Olympia to just also maximise on it, but draw within 1 point of South Hobart and be right back in the frame. I'm going with South Hobart, the hosts. I think they'll just get it done. I think it'll be 3-1. A late goal just sort of sealing things, but I think it'll be tight for a fair portion of this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fairly ugly, scrappy affair. I think it won't be pretty football. Teams who try that may struggle today. I suppose there's an argument to be made with the wind, maybe coping along the deck when you're kicking with the wind's the option, but I think it was a pretty ugly affair last time they met. I'd expect more of the same today, and I also favour South Hobart in this one. I thought Leszczynski had young Farquhar's number the last time they met. Just in the physical stakes, it was a matchup they were able to exploit, and I expect them to try and do a little bit the same. It's a very young Olympia side on the whole. I think the South Hobart side are just a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more physical, and I think they'll just have that edge today. But certainly Olympia are getting back into some better form over the past 2 weeks, and you'd expect a pretty tight affair.
Yeah, I don't think this will be one-way traffic. Really interested to see how that Hammer Time Leszczynski combo works. Luke Farrell right up at the top with the start of things, really looking to get moving. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Hammer Time and Leszczynski works. Also, Darcy Hall, big afternoon for him, I think. I'd expect to see Drake follow him round and really follow him wherever he goes. Kickoff for Olympia. Jimmy Hordle officiating this one, and he'll just about blow his whistle to get things underway, and he does. Glynn, his first involvement, finds Mearns. Back for Hickey, threads the needle, fine Hoy, zips inside, energetic start, puts it out on the left-hand flank, but it just skittles away from Joel Samet out there on the left wing. And he can't bring it under his control. A promising movement, though, just to start the game.
Had a little bit of space there, didn't he? Schmidt had just tucked in a little bit and opened up a massive gap there for Samet to try and get in behind. Interesting, as you noted, Drake following Darcy Hall. He started out at left back, so he does appear to have the tagging job, as it were, and he's got the ball now. But Gavin Hoy also, as he flagged, starting on the right. You can already see the impact the wind is having on this game. It's a significant advantage Olympia's way in the first 45. They're going to want to take advantage as Drake looks to charge into the box. He's got a couple to deal with, gets around him, can he put a cross in? Straight to Wilson, but Zach Drake causing problems early.
Geez, he's good, Zach Drake. This one out from Wilson, and Luke Farrell, the ball just gets away from him with the wind, but he does enough to see to Turner. He loses it with pressure coming from Vavakos. Looks to win it back, but the line beats him. It'll be a throw in. George Vavakos. Throw long, looking for Big Glynn. It's Brown first to it. Farrell brings it down. Hoy picks it up. Does well to get by one in Farrell. Tries to keep going, but Brown gets involved. In the end, Glynn does well and earns his side a corner. Big Glynn sanity really looking like a good target option. I think you expect to see them loft one on his head here. That's why you've got the big frames in the box. Comes in, it's flatly struck, it hits the left upright. Comes back into the mixer. Picked up from Thomas. He goes to Vandermeer into the box again. They're posing questions early, Olympia. Brown scurries clear, and Schmidt does his best to avoid a corner but can't. And yet again, they'll send another one in as we see this replay. The breeze swirling about. The Hoyt corner came in. I think
Far off.
I don't know. I think that was wind assisted for sure, but
it's going to be really tough for Wilson with this wind. He's a bit out of form, and they'll send another one in. The wind takes over that, and you can see the impact. It flies over the post. They're going to have to start probably aiming well and truly outside the box and just let the wind carry it back in, because it is a powerful wind here that's really going to impact the contest, and something that South Hobart are going to have to figure out how to deal with, and that's where the height of Big Glynn could wreak a bit of havoc. Luke Farrell now on the ball. Drops into Turner, he'll drop it back, and under pressure here, will they be able to prevent a corner? They can see they're throwing in there, Brown, but they've got the boxed in Olympia. They've got the pressure on. This has been a bright start, and South Hobart really struggling to clear the area, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got the wind favouring them, it has to be said. Vavakos puts it into the box, headed away from Lewis, sits for Glynn. finds Mearns. He'll try and weasel his way through. Can't. Lewis comes out with it. Glynn from under him. Can't win the ball. Lewis finds Hamlett out on the left wing. Threads the needle. Almost finds Leszczynski. He lets it run. Morton loses it. Farquhar involved. Finds Sammet from the bullseye. Chips over the top of the defensive line, and it'll be easily picked up from Wilson at the edge of his box. It's going to be a tough day for goalkeepers at either end. Wilson short of a bit of confidence, but Rowan Gillum short in stature and a bit of a slender frame, so it's going to be a real test of his mettle, as Drake asked far too much of Rowan Gillum on this occasion. Bounces out of play, so it'll be a corner for South Hobart. Their first meaningful charge forward. Played short from Hall to Schmidt. He dishes back. Hall, a flat rolling ball. Picked up from Mearns. Gets by Kemp and then just blasts it out of the area. Beyond halfway it goes. Lewis and Wilson should negotiate this one, as Wilson lets it run for a throw in. Runs back before giving the ball to his teammate.
I'm not sure what they're doing there, South.
And Schmidt will take the throw eventually.
That was poorly worked, really. Don't want to get themselves boxed in, and they've allowed Olympia to get all their men forward there, and you see what's happened, although they've turned it straight back over as they chip one over the top looking for Leszczynski, and Gillum off his line will just launch it long. I think that's going to be the order of the day. Get it down there, because conceding a throw in deep in South Hobart territory, not going to be a bad ploy, really.
It was an interesting one, wasn't it, really, because they could have kept it alive and maybe worked it amongst each other. It was two negotiating it. It looked like Wilson was pretty keen to let it run. Morton on it now, squirts the ball out on the left-hand side, and it far too heavy for the run of Hamlett. Out of play as the rain seriously teams down here at Darcy Street. A bit of sun accompanying it. Just making sure it's not too unpleasant for the players as it comes from Vivakos. Off Turner's head. Leszczynski picks it up. He's smothered by a couple, and it's Mearns who gets the decisive foot. Wins it for Olympia. Forward looking for Hoy. One by Farrell. Looks for 1-2 with Turner. Leszczynski wins it off of Vivakos. Now it's out with Morton. Ping-pongs about off the feet of Farrell to Kemp. A little too cute, and Mearns says thank you very much. Puts it out on the right-hand side. Finds Hoy. Hoy looks to race away. Dips inside for Mearns. He falls as he goes to play it. Play on, says Hordle. It did just look like he lost his footing. Morton now takes his time, measures a ball. Picks out Hamlett, negotiates Vivakos through the legs of Shea Hickey, a former teammate. Leszczynski now gets involved. A slide in from Hickey and then won by Mearns. And he clears out of play as South Hobart continue to inch down this left-hand side. It's been a frenetic opening 6 minutes so far. Energetic stuff as the throw comes in for Farrell. Blocked on the edge of the area by Hickey. He's got Hoy now on the ball. Loses it for an instant. Farquhar looks to just clear the danger. But good pressure applied by Morton. Sees this one out for a throw in.
South Hobart just starting to grow into the game a little. The throw will be taken by Vivakos. He goes long. Farrell gets his head on it and puts it back into touch here. Yeah, don't be fooled by the sunshine you're seeing on your screens. It looks quite nice, but it is far from it. The ugly old day as Kemp again is across to sweep around and nod it into touch. You're going to see plenty of this today. Olympia edging down the line. Glynn might be the target as they drop it short instead. Morton comes sliding in, wins the ball well for his side. Kobe Kemp. Oh, well cut out there by Farquhar. They are off to the races, South Hobart. They had a few men moving forward. Thomas lost it to Brown, who retreats all the way back to his keeper, James Wilson, who just dink it in short. And Olympia just sit off, and now they've got them wide. They'll press them. And Farrell dangerously jinks inside. That was perhaps ill-advised. Recovered it all right, though. And they're able to work it around the back line out to young Connor Schmidt, making his first start of the season. He charges into the middle of the park before going back to Kemp, who's just sitting in front of that back four at the moment. Lovely pass to find Morton out on the right. Cuts inside. Couldn't find Darcy Hall, though. It was well cut out by Mearns. He's done that a couple of times already, cutting out South Hobart through balls. It's what he does so well. He's a complete midfielder, Nick Mearns. He started well here. Again, Olympia content to sit off, and then as soon as they go wide, they apply the press. So appears to be the game plan early on. Turning with it is Kobe Kemp. towards Leszczynski. Hamlett looks to get in behind Vivakos. It was a beautiful ball. Here's Hamlett storming in the box. Shapes a shooter, he's left, and it's well wide. And not very pretty from Hamlett in the end. It was a beautiful ball here from Leszczynski. Dissected two, and Hamlett was off to the races. In the end, just lacked a little bit of composure with the finish, but a promising sign there from the Leszczynski-Hamlett partnership.
What a superb dink that was from Leszczynski. He just has a knack of doing those little dinks and flicks that bring the other players into play. Hamlett on that occasion, he looked really confident as he breached the box. I think it just bowled up on him in the last moment because he scuffed it horribly. Throwing now. We're back with the live action. Big Zach Drake sends it down the line. Lewis and Thomas to it, and Thomas gets the last touch. Out for another throw. Schmidt, his first start of the season, goes in looking for Kemp, nudged aside by Thomas. Brown looks to send it long, looking for Hall. He's got Drake up on him, helps Olympia win it back, and now Hickey sends long. Thomas loses it. Schmidt to Turner. He has it smothered off him by Hickey to Hoy. To Mearns, nudges it back in the path of the Canadian, and now it's with Farquhar. Buzzing up on him is Morton. Causes him to spill the ball straight to Hamlett. He looks to race away. It's cut off for an instant, but then Farrell wins back, finds Morton. Looks to go to the byline, but he's offside. As the rain is seriously teams down here at Darcy Street. It is raining sideways. It is a horrible day for football. It's actually coming through the stands now, so such is our luck. Vandermeer, the skipper over this one. Goes long beyond halfway. No one meets it, and it bounces about. Eventually, Lewis lays claim to it. Comes back to Hickey in midfield, the bullseye. He tries to find Hoy, miscues the ball, won by Hamlett. Switches it up to the right flank, finds Hall. He looks to use his pace. He's taken off him by Hickey, who slides into great effect. Finds Vivakos. Plays forward for Hoy. He's got pressure coming for Farrell. Nudges it to Mearns, who's been busy. Back to Hoy. Hoy gets by one. Can't get by Turner as Turner bundles into the back of him. And a free kick for the Warriors.
I've got to say, the Olympia fans not terribly pleased with the treatment there from Jack Turner as they go the quick long diagonal to Drake, who'd made a good run. He gets it in the corner. Goes along the carpet looking for Samet. Couldn't find him though, and they'll charge away here. South Hobart looking to counter punch through Schmidt. Farquhar across to deal with him and does well to get a block on it. Vandermeer now will settle them down. So Hobart have done well the last few minutes, just growing into the contest after a shaky opening. They're kicking into a pretty strong breeze. So you'd have to say Olympia will want to take advantage of that. It's a terrible pass from Hickey. He's put his team in real trouble here. Kemp back to Turner. He gets it to Hamlett, who's quite wasteful in the end. The end product not quite there, and goes straight to young Gilliman goals, who will be happy if that's the extent of what he has to deal with all day.
Drewster, for me, you can tell it's Hamlett's first start of the season. Just a little over-eager.
Yeah, perhaps so. Just the end product not quite there. He's made some good runs, but what he's done with the ball's not quite been on. As it's played for by Morton. And in the end, a bit of miscommunication between keeper and centre-back. He sweeps it clear in the end. Nick Morton looks to control on the head, but coming over the top of him was the Canadian Drake. He wins it again, only as far as Turner. Schmidt with a lovely little ball inside to Morton. Couldn't get around Vandermeer with a dink, and he plays it forward to Glynn. Haven't seen a lot of the big fella yet, but he does well to link up with the Canadian Hoy here. He chips a through ball, but it was far too narrow. And straight to James Wilson in goals. We'll work it now wide on the right. Again, Schmidt, he loves to get forward. We've seen that early. Was well read by Drake again, though. He's a very intelligent player, always reading the intentions. They play it forward quickly, and Hoy in a one-on-one with Luke Farrell. He looks to get his head up now and run at him. What can the little Canadian do? He drops it inside for Harrison Thomas. Plays the 1-2. He's got Vivakos overlapping, goes himself, and Luke Farrell was awake to the threat. Morton tries to clear only as far as Hickey. He's got space to shoot. Curls it in the Glynn direction, but it's well away by Brown. Drake storming it again. They've kept the pressure on them well, Olympia. Here's Vivakos to the back post. Wilson is there to collect.
And they're away now through Schmidt. Looking for Leszczynski. Vandermeer first to it. To run round Turner, he does well, looks to beat another, he can't as Schmidt wins it back, finds Kemp, loses it, straight to Mearns, threads the needle, looking for Vandermeer, through his legs, Lewis wins it, finds Morton, and Morton just kicks ahead of play, should be dealt with by Gillum, and it is. Long ball looking for Thomas, he does well, brings it down. It's a mismatch with Brown, but he did well, young Thomas. Out from Mearns, out on the right flank now with Hoy. He's got Farrell for company, looks to get to the byline and cut back. He does, no one home at the top of the 6. It just zips past everyone, and South Hobart should escape as Hall finds Schmidt. Schmidt now, it's Hall rather, back for Turner, then to Schmidt. Schmidt looks inboard, finds Kemp, plays back to his defence in Brown, and now Farrell. Finds Hamlett, gets inside of Vivakos, but Hickey gets involved and finds Big Glynn Sanity, drops it off. Back for Hoy, through to Glynn, drops it off again, this time it's Thomas. A neat little dink inside, misses its target, and South Hobart clear, but not for long. Back through Vivakos, and now Hickey. Hickey, a direct ball, great service for Glynn, and he puts it over the bar. I'm sorry, Drew, so he should have tested the goalkeeper on that one. A little bit high up on him, but you'd like your big target man to get that on goal from that sort of range and that sort of freedom.
Yeah, that's what he's there for. I mean, he's already stolen the yard, and just quickly around the grounds, the Women's Super League up north, also streaming 1-0 to Launceston City there. You can tune into that one if you want. Holly Saville opening the scoring in the 9th minute, but we should have had the scoring open right here. Yeah, by a big Glynn up top. There's the chance you want your big towering strikers to put away a beautiful ball, and South Hobart are going to need to mark him a lot tighter as this game progresses, as they look to get forward now. Luke Farrell plays it into the channel for Leszczynski, who dropped it in the direction of Hamlett, but allowed only Vivakos in there. Awkwardly cleared it, but he is on the wrong side. He's a nominal left footer. Darcy Hall being man-marked by Zach Drake in this one. And I expect him to stay out on the right-hand side, Darcy Hill, just to keep that matchup going, just to have Vivakos on his wrong foot. I don't think we'll see the normal switch that we do from the fullbacks in this one, as Schmidt works it forward in the direction of that man, Darcy Hall. He goes back to Kobe Kemp. He's immediately charged down by Drake, and it put him off, and his compatriot Hoy is through the middle. Glynn had straight offside anyway, so probably a good thing for them. It was cut off, and Hoy now digs into himself. Gavin Hoy with the shot, and Wilson gets a piece of it. Oh, it's a great save by James Wilson. That's a confidence builder. It was a little bit of genius from Gavin Hoy. Dinked it round him, fired the shot, and that is an outstanding save from the keeper, making himself big. Or it's 1-0 Olympia, and it's the Warriors doing the early attacking here. They've had the 2 best scoring chances of the game, and South Hobart really under pressure. Another corner here. And they'll again send it into the mixer at the back post. Rising high was Jack Turner. He leads the chasers to the ball. His pass was overhit though. Set Hamlett some sort of task, and really had to scurry to keep it in play. He couldn't, and it goes out. And it'll be Vivakos to take the throw in here. Again, probably looks for the feet of Hoy, but it was well read by Farrell. Hamlett got it forward. Hickey was there, sliding in, intelligently winning the throw in. It was Darcy Hall, who I said wouldn't switch flanks to kind of keep the Vivakos on his wrong foot. Morton apparently nodding agree with that, and they've duly swapped.
Farquhar now looks to stroll away from Leszczynski, gets it out on the left to Salmon, who's been quiet, puts this out in front of Glynn, but Kemp first to it, scurries across. Finds Hamlett, good body position, sees him breeze away from the Canadian Drake. Inside for Schmidt, nudges into the path of Morton. Can't thread the needle, Farquhar up on him. Drops it off now for Turner, who switches it wide to the right. Hamlett, who's been a busy little bee, puts it into the box. Farquhar scuffs a clearance. It's enough to find Hickey, who scoops over the top. Sammet should get onto this one. It rushes away with the wet turf and out of play for a throw in. Drewster, 2 really good opportunities for Olympia. They're in charge of this contest, but they've got a significant wind advantage, and they've got to make the most of it, really maximise these chances. Still 0-0 as we currently stand, just some 17 and change into the game, as this one's picked up from Hall. Inside for Morton. Look to use some pace. Sprays this ball out on the right. It's not a bad one, but just a little overshot for the run of Hamlett over his head and out of play.
The wind just died down slightly in the last few minutes. It's still certainly a factor, but it's not as bad as it was in the opening 15, which South Hobart will probably be happy with because it was causing them all sorts of troubles as they play it down the line in the direction of Big Glynn and Lewis. Size just dab it out of play there. Really interesting game opening up here. They always are when these two teams meet. Two of the premier sides in the competition. The FFA Cup victors of last year and the league champions, our last two league champions. And while they sit third and fourth today, it is a clash of two juggernauts as the referee gets a touch here and it spills South Hobart's way in the end. Back to Connor Schmidt. He plays it forward for hammer time Hamlett. He's immediately closed down by Mearns, who's winning everything in midfield. He got it to Samet. There were numbers there for South Hobart though. Scrapped out a play on the right wing. They wanted to take it quickly and Glynn had stolen a yard, however. It is a South Hobart ball, so all for nothing there. Big Glynn trying to steal a march on the defence in the direction of South Hobart's big man Leszczynski, and Turner now charges down that ball from Hickey. He's got some options in the middle if you can get it to him. It was well closed down though by Vivakos and Farquhar. They sandwiched him there and didn't allow him to get up and play the ball across the field he would have liked. Here now is Mearns in the middle. He looks to just stop it over the top. It wasn't a great ball though. Like Farrell got to it and well read there by Drake. Got in ahead of Hall. He's taken the points in that matchup early. It was a really intelligent ball too, but Hoy hadn't made the run. But Zach Drake, his class shining through early in this one. He's taken Darcy Hall completely out of the contest 20 minutes into it. He's barely had a sniff and Drake's done a bit of attacking himself. Here's Mearns in the middle, in the direction of Drake again. Getting up well was Kemp though, and a foul against Nick Morton will leave the pressure. 20 minutes tick by, still 0-0 here at Darcy Street.
Conditions less terrible, still not amazing as it's played through for Farrell. Miscues it but finds Leszczynski. Hamlett very wasteful, but luckily finds Kemp. Completely got that one wrong, but just fortuitously found Kemp. In from Farrell into the box. Leszczynski fires into the left upright. It zipped around and Leszczynski laid claim to it. And this one coming back in for Farrell, collected by Gillen. We'll see it again. It just zipped into the box past Turner. Leszczynski, a really nice strike, but just off the woodwork. And Olympia escape there as Lewis now at the other end. Looks to find Kemp and clear the danger. Glynn hot on his heels and does well, does Big Glynn, the Irishman.
Just taking back to that chance. They got very lucky there, Olympia. That was horrible defending. It went along the carpet, was in there for some time, and they still got the shot away. They need to be more organised than that. Olympia, flat ball across in front of all the defenders that no one cut out. Leszczynski doesn't spurn those chances too often.
This one from Schmidt to Turner, back in for Schmidt. The fullback, there's Mearns for company, he gets a foot in. But it goes to Kemp, who is checked by a former teammate Thomas. It'll be a quickly taken free kick from Kemp. Switches wide to the left, finds Farrell. Forward for Hall, who's had Zach Drake following him around all day, no matter what side he's on. Hall on this one now. Drake looks to get a foot in. He does eventually to find Vandermeer, who gives it straight to Turner. Squeezes out a pass and finds Leszczynski, who finds Hall. Shifts it wide. It's there for Schmidt. Drops it off to the front post. And it's swallowed by Rowan Gillum. It's humped along. It's over the top and it's Hoy who picks it up. He just nips it in the back post. McGlynn helps himself. It's goal time. And Olympia lead here at Darcy Street. Quick movement on the counter. And just like that, they take a lead. Looked like conceding at the other end. It was a filthy air swing by Dan Brown, but let in Hoy. Hoy just rounded Wilson with a nice little cut back, and Glynn, that's the easiest first goal you'll ever get.
Well, we see
1-0.
You see the wind wreaking a bit of havoc there, but it was poor by Brown. It was swirling in the air. He misjudged it. He just let it roll through, and in the end, that goal is unfortunately on Brown. I reckon the wind absolutely played a role, but that's the benefit of just punting it long in the air. You never know what's going to happen. It's rolled on through. Hoy Looked like he'd scored, and Glynn decided just to take it off him just to make sure of it. I'm sure he'll insist. I think it was rolling over the line anyway, but Olympia get the dream start here, 1-0. They'd had a couple of good chances early, they'd not taken them. And a tap in there for Glynn gets his account open for the year. 1-0 Olympia. They had to take advantage of the wind. They're kicking with it in this half, and they've done just that. Now it's up to South Hobart to chase the game, and the goal really comes off the back of South Hobart's best period of the match. They've created a couple of chances, and Morton looks to strike from range. It took a deflection, and they went through to young Ryan Gillam. They've not really been able to test him early on. I think they'd like to be able to get the ball wide, put a couple of crosses into the box, just see how the young and perhaps smaller frame of Gillam deals with that. That might be something they'll look to do more in the second half when they do have the wind at their backs, as Morton gets the ball in space in the middle. Coming from behind was Mearns. Now looking up is Hamlett, looking to run at Vandermeer. He cuts inside, it takes a deflection the Leszczynski direction. Farquhar rose to deal with that. Kemp got a nice little header, and then it's Morton wrapping his left boot around it, but it was always rising and always over the top, so no real threat there. It's Morton, who has made a bit of a habit of scoring half volleys from in and around the 18-yard box so far this year. He scored a few very pretty goals, scored a lovely goal in the 2-2 draw last week against the Zebras. And as it was, they've conceded a rather sloppy goal for a long ball again. South Hobart perhaps showing a little bit of a vulnerability to that in the last couple of weeks. It won't be something Morton will want. As the throw comes in the Leszczynski direction, his flick on is straight out of play though. It'll be a throw in the Warriors' way to be taken by Vavakos. He goes in the direction of Harrison Thomas, and it's knocked out of play by Kobe Kemp, who's quickly on that to snuff out the chance. So we've got another update from up north in the Women's Super League. It's all happening. It looks like Torino equalised, only to go behind again, so 2-1 to Launceston City in the Women's Super League up north this afternoon. Langley and Bremner, the scorers, still 1-0 here, as we see. A throw in for Vavakos. Down the line in the direction of Brown, who's decides against passing to his keeper. He probably should have. In the end, gave it straight to Thomas, and Harrison Thomas, he'll lose it. Lewis was across the cover, but he's not had a good 5 minutes here. Dan Brown, a couple of poor errors from the experienced custodian. That's a lovely piece of work from Leszczynski over the top to Hamlett. He's in behind here. Hammer time, Hamlett getting across to deal with it was Farquhar, and he did just about enough. He rose to the challenge, the young central defender, and saves the day there for the Warriors. Otherwise, South Hobart may just have found parity.
Brown now plays forward for Morton. South look to now to come back and try and draw level. Some good chances in this first half. Morton now nudges by Mearns, is picked up from Vandermeer. He sprays this one straight out of play on the right-hand side.
Another goal update from North. Launceston now up 3-1, so no shortage of goals up there.
Beautiful. Plenty happening in the Women's Super League. Throwing now. Big Farrell. Drake nips in. Back for Farrell. They collide. Comes out through Turner. Now Farrell look to get around Mearns. He can't as Mearns breaks to himself. And then Brown slides in. Mearns has had it on a string there for a minute. Throw in from Hoy. Down through Mearns. He drops it off for Hoy. They keep on going here, Olympia. Good ball into the 6-yard box. It's cut off with a low header from Lewis. Olympia pressing on here. We see Mearns. It's had an electric couple of minutes. Good ball from Hoy, but no one home as the corner's played short. The throw-in, sorry. And it's out through Hall, and they'll have another crack at things. Gavin Hoy, the Canadian.
A joy to watch Hoy and Mearns when they're in full flight, aren't they?
Mearns in particular today's been really good. We saw in the Cup he had a tremendous afternoon before getting injured. He's the impact player again as Hoy brings it in, zips by everyone's head bar. Darcy Hall, who gets a low nod to it, gets by Hickey. They can open it up here now, South Hobart. From Darcy Hall is Turner. Flashes it out of strike. Gillam misses it. it. Morton can run it. He puts it in the dugout. That was absolute howler.
That was the miss of the season right there. It broke. Drake couldn't quite get there. I thought Gillum had made an error off his line, and Nick Morton had it on a platter. For some reason, he shot himself on his right foot rather than his buried with the left. Even then, you can't miss that.
He could have walked that in, Ed. He could have walked that in. That is the miss of the millennium. That is horrendous.
That's the reaction going on from the Olympia crowd. You thought they'd scored. It was a huge uproar in the crowd here. They know what a moment the match that could prove to be. That's a gimme score. From Nick Morton too, you just don't expect that from such a quality player. What a let-off.
He's usually so clinical and clean, and that was just very ugly. And I don't know whether he'll have dinner on the table tonight in the Morton householders. They run away through Hamlett. Carl from Vivakos. Now Schmidt gets a touch, but it's out of play. I tell you what, Drew, so the goal kick that followed travelled some distance. The wind really got behind it, and it pretty much went out the other end. Howling winds here at Darcy Street, and a really good contest. South Hobart with plenty of chances. Olympia too. They've got the lead, valuable lead, 1-0 as it stands. Lewis, and sends this one out of play. The throwing now for Zach Drake.
Drake, who's straining the sinews, trying to get back to that one. Turner gets it in. He looks to play it out from the back. They've almost forced a turnover. It's Farquhar who'll cut this one out, and again, just a little chip just carries about 20 metres. Real tough sledding for Sonoma going to this, and Leszczynski tries to use his hand to bring it in. We've had a couple of big misses this week. Luke Houston had the chance yesterday for the Zebras to win one and blazed over, but it doesn't compare with that from Morton. They'll again chip one into the mix. A dangerous ball, but carrying too far, and Wilson can look to launch the counter-attack. Hamlett and Hall have again switch flanks, and Hamlett works it to Morton, let it run. Farquhar will cut it out, and he glides with the ball through the middle of Farquhar. Morton slid in a little bit late, and the foul is blown. It's a very vocal Olympia crowd here.
Say what you want about Olympia. They bring the noise and always add a bit of atmosphere, especially here at Darcy Street where they pile out numbers. This one comes into the middle. Leszczynski finds Lewis, bolting away from centre half. Just puts it into the path of Schmidt. He looks for Hall. Drake wins it. Hall wins it back. Now it's Schmidt again, who's kept moving on that right-hand side. Looking inside for Turner. Gets Drake instead, who goes to Hickey. Samet. And find Thomas, or Willie. Just eludes Thomas as Morton picks it up. Plays forward, finds Leszczynski, who sweeps wide to the left. It's Hamlett. Vivakos tracking him. Cuts in. It's a superb strike and forces a good save from Rowan Gillum. Nicely struck from Hamlett and equally well done by Rowan Gillum.
Yeah, it's a dipping ball. It's one you expect the keeper to save. He's made it look pretty spectacular, but a good stop, a good feel for the ball early on. He's done well there to deny a strike that was dipping and curling a little in the breeze from Hamlett. So Hobart take the corner short, and Connor Schmidt lays it back to Darcy Hall, who's got acres of space. He shapes to shoot, it takes a little block, and Morton is denied brilliantly by Gillum. What a save by the youngster. Morton again left frustrated, it fell into his path, and that is an absolutely outstanding save with the left leg there from Gillum. He's done ever so well, the youngster, and South again take it short. I don't know about this with the wind the way it is, but they'll now get the ball in towards Turner, came off his ankle. Leszczynski sets it up for Hall from range. And he's spectacular Darcy Hall gives the shush to the crowd. South Hobart back on terms. What a strike by Darcy Hall. Leszczynski with the presence of mind to square it to him. He went through a sea of bodies and just getting his leg out of the way was Evertime Hamlett. Perhaps knew he was offside. It slides on through 1-1.
1-1 and didn't mind it from Darcy Hall, just letting the crowd know about it. Just a bit of shush, he says. 1-1, and what a game we have in front of us. Vivakos now to Farquhar. He gives it straight to Morton. This could be 2-1 in the blink of an eye. Drops it off for Leszczynski. Drake comes in. Vandermeer nearly gives it to Leszczynski. One of the great Falcons. Straight into the big ball dome. Boom! Oh, caught that right in the mush.
Before that, Zach Drake to the rescue. What an outstanding piece of coverage from the fullback. He has started this game really well, Drake.
Throwing now to Schmidt. Kobe Kemp with a heap of space. He'll burst away. Finds Leszczynski. He puts it in the path of Morton. He's got a point to prove. Puts it through. Stopped at the edge of the box, and then Drake scurries clear and is impeded in the process, and it'll be a free kick taken quickly and short by Hickey. This one's long and diagonal from Farquhar. One in the air by Schmidt, down for Kemp. Just nudges along, but it's straight to Mearns. To Glynn, and Mearns again. His second touch not quite as good, but it ends up with Samet to the top of the box. He's asking plenty of Hoy. Farrell first to it. They're in the air, and it's Hickey who comes out with it. Brown nods down. Back again. Mearns with a spin. Finds Hoy. Hoy looks to slip in rather than shoot. Maybe a mistake on that occasion. The South Hobart in the races now. From Hamlett to Leszczynski. South on the left. Puts it out in front of Ball brings it down. Plays for Morton. Morton now with the wind howling. Tries a strike, and Rowan Gillum collects this one.
Oh, that's a typhoon like you, Darcy Street at the moment.
This is extraordinary, the wind that's coming through.
I think the roof's about to be blown off the grandstands. The goal kick carries nearly the length of the ground. Thomas forces a turnover in a dangerous area. He looks to work it forward. South Hobart will escape. This will just sit up in the wind. It does. Almost goes backwards in the end and headed away. This is just going to be a nightmare. South Hobart will try and kick into this for the next few minutes. And the rain coming down to boot. Truly an awful day for football, but the contest, thankfully, has been an absolute belter.
It's been an absolute pearl. I was going to say before, Drew, I felt a bit sorry for Rowan Gillum. He was blindsided on that one as it zipped through a sea of bodies, because the few minutes prior to it, he saved Olympia on several occasions, but a bit cruel for Gillum.
Tough. Maybe that's with the small stature. Tough to see over the top of some of those bodies, perhaps. Certainly nothing he could do about it. Saw it far too late. But he has been good so far, Gillum, with a couple of his saves. That one on Morton was outstanding as Schmidt works it forward. Ball low, Vandermeer didn't really deal with it well. It'll fall straight to Morton. He had Hamlett in plenty of space wide on the left, but his ball to him allowed Hoy to track back. Forward on well though. Well done by Hammer time. Hamlett plays a 1-2 with Turner. Gets to the top of the box and drives the shot, which Gillum is down to deny. South Hobart with the momentum here at the moment. They've had a good few minutes. They're really turning the screws. And they're on top. They've got back in the game and they've got all the momentum. They've got the pressure, although Glynn's forced this one forward. Wilson should be able to sweep up for South Hobart and reload as he just waits. Assesses his options and launch this one in the air. Floats onto the back of Hamlett, and that should be an Olympia throw. Indeed it is.
Big Vavakos to bring it in. Down the line, looks for Hoy. Farrell all over him like a cheap suit. Runs out of play, so South Hobart ball. 36 and change gone here at Darcy Street. Tremendous contest, 1-1 as it stands. Hoy wings it away from Leszczynski, looks to burst with a turn of speed, holds onto it well, inside looking for Thomas, they wrestle for it, ends up back on the right hand side for Hoy, cuts back to great effect, to Thomas, in for Glynn. He tried to fashion a shot at short notice, just prodded the right foot out there, and it flies wide to the right, just prods it and didn't get a nice piece of it.
Now, I know he's got very long legs, but that one's probably just a bit too far ahead to be trying that type of shot.
Comes from Farrell, inside to Hamlett, who bursts. He's just smothered from Hickey. He's been battling well, really battling. Throw in from Hoy to Mearns. Mearns inside, a bit of room if he can find it. Turner wins the ball, finds Morton. They're away at the races now. Leszczynski on the left. They look inside. Turner's got Akers. He can get over the top. It bobbles up on him. And then Farquhar with terrible miscommunication. I'm not sure what went on there. They could have easily played back and really negated that one. A goal here would be horrendous as it comes in from Morton. Nodded over from Leszczynski. Drake will look to burst on a counter-attack now. Forward looking for Glynn. He's never any chance in that foot race. Out of play.
You can see there taking the quick short corner, trying to put it into the goalkeeper's area, putting big Leszczynski at the near post in front of the young keeper. Just in the build-up at the corner. Just wondering if maybe Leszczynski should have played Morton in first time. Might have had a one-on-one with the keeper. In the end, rather fortuitous to win a corner thanks to a really poor back pass from Farquhar. Just a few nerves showing perhaps from a few of the Olympia youngsters. South Hobart have been on top for the last 10 minutes. The chances side, they've got nothing on offer, so they retreat all the way back to Wilson, who plays a short one to Brown, and he immediately goes back. They're just looking around the back. Perhaps 1-1 wouldn't be a bad result for South Hobart, given their kick into this stiff breeze. That's a lovely ball from Morton. He gets it to Darcy Hall, who gets him behind the Varkos, and Farquhar gets his head up and shoots. Gill makes the save. Well done by the young keeper again. Darcy Hall just carried the ball past two, then fashioned a shot.
Hasn't Darcy Hall turned his game around today?
Well, this is the first time we've seen him running someone that wasn't Zach Drake, and immediately gets him behind him, and you can see why. But Neil's had Drake tagging him. He does appear to have the better of that matchup with Varkos, and immediately they shift again. But I think that's something they'll want to keep an eye on the second half. As big Glynn turns Brown, but he showed too much of it to Lewis. The ball might deflect into Sammett's path though. He gives chase, and he gets there, takes a deflection. Will he get a corner? Lewis gets there first. Made a bit of a hash of the clearance though, went straight back to Sammet. Schmidt lost it to Glynn. He chips it dangerously, but there's no one at the back post at all. Absolutely no one, and Wilson will just let it roll out for the goal kick. Cracker of a contest developing here at Darcy Street. It's had it all in this first half. 1-1 the score. Probably a fair reflection. Olympia had a good period early. South Hobart fought back well.
It's been a great game, Brewster. They just tend to produce enthralling contests, these two teams, as it comes over the top from Leszczynski's head. Drake now on the side of Hall. Interesting. Along it comes, over the head of Lewis, and Wilson will gather at the edge of his box, finds Brown. To Kemp, back for Brown. Forward it comes, but he gives it straight to Hoy. Can they make him pay? He can't quite find Mearns. Lewis gets involved, finds Kemp. They look to burst again, South Hobart. Morton this time, a good ball looking for Leszczynski. Farquhar first to it. Did well, the youngster. Gets it out. Good distribution too, after a desperate challenge. Hoy now. Dinks over the top. Drake's kept on running from that right-hand side. He's got Farrell for company inside. Finds his countryman in Hoy. Hoy has it taken off him by Brown. He lets it bounce. And it's out of play for a corner. And possibly a fair shout for a foul there as he looked to shield the ball. Farrell didn't get much ball in that one. I would have thought that's a foul, but anyway, corner to come in off the boot of Hoy. This is where the big Glynn sanity has to bring something to the fore, the big Irishman. It's a flatly struck corner straight to the front post off the head of Morton. Still not out of trouble. Comes out from Brown and then Lewis, who just pumps clear. Hickey will help himself. Out for Mearns. Good first touch. Then gets it by to Hoy. He's looked good today, Gavin Hoy. He just hacks into Hamlett now, and South Hobart keep it moving. No advantage.
Oh, advantage, surely.
Interesting from Hordle.
Oh, Morton in acres of space, the quick release. It's a poor one from South Hobart. Very unlucky there, they were away. Instead, it's a free kick. This will just sit up in the wind and float backwards, so that's why it really hurt. It might bounce Olympia's way, but Turner intervened well. Drake up against Darcy Hall. Couple of bodies hit the deck.
Scrappy stuff in there, Drewster. Thomas comes out with it. Kemp closes him down quickly. Out onto the right, finds Hoy. Hoy got Glynn offering on short, opts to shoot himself. It's a bobbly old ball, and Wilson's across to gather.
Just spied a big gap at that near post there, Hoy. Didn't quite have the velocity to drive it in there, though. So not the worst option to shoot this type of day. I saw Nicola now Atkinson scoring an absolute spectacular goal yesterday. A little bit of wind coming into play with that. Just a lob from 30 yards, I think. sometimes when the wind's about, the long-range shot can be a good option. Here's Morton, plays a through ball, but it was cut out by Farquhar, and he finds Mearns. They've forced the turnover there. Hall gets it in. He looked to play in Morton. Probably should have released Kemp instead. Just the wrong option there. And now might open up on the counter the other way. Thomas's ball straight to Connor Schmidt. So a poor passing display in the last 30 seconds from both sides. Here's Kemp, who'll just immediately return it to Brown. A couple of minutes before half-time. Can either side head into the break with a lead. Farquhar back in the Gillum direction. This one's lobbed high in the air. Farrell wins it over Hoy, and here's Kobe Kemp in the middle. He drops it to Turner. He's immediately pressured by Shea Hickey. Thomas wins one back for his side there. Gets it to Hoy. He looks up. In the end, tried to thread the needle. Took a deflection off Turner into the path of Thomas again. Young Harrison Thomas looks up, plays it in the direction of Glynn. Hoy was surely offside. And in the end, it's blown. I don't know if that was the referee or the linesman.
I think he called handball.
Yeah, right.
It didn't appear to be handball. Sometimes those shouts can be rather convincing, Drewster.
It was rather blatantly offside anyway, I would have thought.
There was someone on the far side. Could have been coming in mind. Played short from Wilson to Brown. Forward for Morton. Morton looking for Hall. Vavakos up on him. Looks to nip inside. Hickey with a touch, and now with Thomas, and back with him through a Hoy pass. Vavakos forward, asking a heap of Glynn. Brown first to it, finds Farrell. Nice one-touch stuff here from South Hobart. Farrell now just gets no nonsense about it and goes long and strong looking for Leszczynski. Eludes him, and it's from Drake as Olympia inch down this right-hand side. Hoy on the ball. Throws in, finds Vavakos, receives back. There's the Canadian. Puts the ball into the box. It's a nice-looking one, but it's straight on the head of Schmidt. Comes for Drake. Zips about off his dome. Brown, and then Schmidt, and then Wilson. They'll try and get it out here, South Hobart, but it's back again. Wind really assisting Olympia right now. Mearns taken out by Turner. He's had his fair share of fouls in this one.
Business as usual for Jack Turner in the midfield. A real scrappy customer. Never shy of a physical encounter and a late challenge or two. Usually likes himself a slice of cheese. The connoisseur of the cheese is Jack Turner.
So Mearns and Hickey negotiate this one. You'd think it's Nick Mearns over the ball. Very quality from the set piece. Ball gets away from him, such as the wind here. Now Glynn Sanity has to come into play here, as too does Vandermeer. Over to Vandermeer, over his head and wide. Decent from Mearns, but the wind really picked it up. And that's half-time here at Darcy Street. 1-1. Olympia FC Warriors open the scoring through Glynn, and then it was drawn level a little bit later on from Darcy Hall. A nice shot from outside the area, and it stands at 1-1 as we go through some of the first half highlights.
Oh, it's an absolute cracking half of football, really. 1-1 probably fair. Both teams had good spells. South Hobart will probably go in the happier of the two teams, given they had to do the tough work kicking into the wind for 45 minutes. But both teams had chances. Both keepers made a good save or two. Both teams guilty of a fairly glaring miss, although certainly one was worse than the other. We'll get to that shortly. But yeah, it's been a really entertaining contest. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Both sides have looked capable of scoring. Both teams have played a fairly direct style, tried to get it up there quickly, put pressure, turn defence into attack in the blink of an eye, and I think it's had everything we'd expect from a South Hobart Olympia game, really. And if we have 45 minutes like that in the second, I think everyone will leave here very happy.
You would have got your money's worth, arguably. You probably already have. Conditions not favourable to good football, but we've seen a good contest, that's for sure, Drewster. And there's been some interesting moments. That was a big mistake from Dan Brown. And Fresh Airson gifted Hoy the ball, and he didn't panic, dropped it off, and Glynn just finished off nicely. And that was the opener. And then Morton fired one off, and we saw some chances for South Hobart. Of course, the most glorious, probably even more glorious than the goal itself, was Nick Morton's miss of the millennium. Absolutely bizarre.
Yeah, and of all the people, he's not going to want to see that again. Unfortunately, with the videos here, it's certainly showing it. Going down afterwards. Wanted the ground to swallow him up. It's an absolute thriller of a game so far. We'll take a break and be back with the second half live from Darcy Street.
Back with the second half here at Darcy Street. South Hobart 1, Olympia 1. Wind howling through the venue. There's a big 45 to come. As South Hobart enter the pitch now. Olympia, be big 3 points for them if they could win this one. A draw, also handy. It'd be very handy for Devonport, who sit atop the table. Big 45 ahead of us. The first half had plenty, Drewster. How do you see this one closing out? Interesting to see Nick Meredith before I throw it over to you. Looks like he's come on.
Thomas, I think, the man off.
Yeah, and for me, a logical change for me. Thomas labouring a little bit in midfield, seemed to be the weakest of the links in there. And Kemp gave him a bit of working over in terms of movement both ways. So I think good change from Glenn McNeil at half-time.
Yeah, an experienced body in there. Kemp, one of the best midfielders in the comp, I think, was certainly winning that matchup. He certainly was one of Olympia's best last week against Launceston City, but against perhaps slightly more quality midfield today he's battled. So that's the change there. South Hobart, I think, frustratingly for them, the wind appears to have died down quite a bit in this second half. It may well pick back up. Certainly the weather's been a bit chaotic. I wouldn't expect it to be like this for too long, but compared with the first half, it's pretty calm.
It died and picked back up about 4 times within that first half. It is unpredictable.
Not this dead.
As it's played wide from Kemp straight to the Warriors. Drake, Hoy, who both had good first halves. Swept clear from Vandermeer, the skipper. It's a good ball for Meredith, the substitute. Comes and nods it. Brown wins for Schmidt. Inside for Kemp. Over the top. Drake wins in the air. Looking for Meredith. Nudges it by 1, and then Lewis wraps his boot around it. Long it comes. Vandermeer brings it down in midfield. Kemp steals and looks to bowl away. A foot from Hickey. Can't stop South Hobart's movement from Turner now to Hamlett. He puts it out in front of no one in particular. And Farquhar might just seize one out. He doesn't. He lets in Hamlett. Leszczynski gets himself caught all up. The ball in between his legs. They've still got it though, South Hobart. Kemp tries to put a ball into the box. I don't know whether a shot or a cross. Nothing comes off. Picked up by Hoy. Chips ahead of the pack. Wilson across with a right boot. Long raking effort. Vivakos brings it down. Sends forward. Looking for Glynn. Cut off. Picked up from Morton. And it's out on the left-hand side. And linesman flag raised, but it was from what seemed like an age ago. Interesting that one still got pulled up. I would have thought you just wave on. But regardless, Olympia regain possession. It'll be off the boot of Vandermeer, in which they move forward. Vandermeer, long, searching, off the head of Glynn. Meredith loses his footing at the crucial moment. Lewis forward, Leszczynski flicks on. Vandermeer should beat Hamlett to this one. He's got Gillum asking for it. Gillum gets it, goes along with the ball. Not a bad effort from Gillum. Brought down from Turner. Mearns to Samet, to Vivakos, who more or less gives South Hobart possession, but they give it straight back. This time with Mearns, who loses it to Morton and then to Vandermeer. Hoy nips in front of Schmidt. At the races is Hoy. Looks to get it through. Good challenge from Lewis, denying that one. They aren't out of jail yet, though, South Hobart. Hamlett does well. Pressures Mearns off the ball, and Olympia will regroup and rebuild another attack.
Vandermeer at the back. Pressed there by Morton. He turns back to Gillum in goals. Straight down the middle in the direction of Kemp. Coming in from behind was Mearns. There's a clash off the ball. Play goes on and it spills to Turner, who drives it straight at the keeper. Some good build-up play again. Big Leszczynski having an impact. His link-up work has been outstanding today. Here's Mearns in the middle of the park, and he's fouled there by Kemp, just getting into his back. A great battle between those two today so far.
One of the softer ones. It was nicely played for by Mearns on that one.
Yeah, see that all the time. Yeah. They feel the contact to go down. As Zach Drake, who's in left back at the moment, and he charges forward, waltzes around Schmidt like he's a barking coach. Step over. Oh, brilliant for Drake. He goes down. The referee has a decision to make, and he tells him to get up. Oh, it was brilliant to watch him break. It did seem to be very soft going down, though. I think the referee was put under pressure, and he got it right. I think Drake had run into a wall and realised he wasn't going any further, so he tried to win it as Morton looks to link up here with Hamlett. He turns, returns it to Morton. Hamlett gets in his way and steals it from his feet in the end. Hamlett then drives with the last kick. What a goal! Absolutely brilliant. It's Hamlett over Darcy Street.
The hammer. Look at this bit of work. He said, Morton, get out of the way. You missed that absolute howler before. I'll show you how it's done. Wraps his boot around it, sends it sailing, and it's 2-1 to the host here at Darcy Street. Ben Hamlett, he's been saying he needs to get in this starting lineup, and Ken Morton's wanted to bring him in. He brings him in on the big game Sunday afternoon against a fierce rifle, and he just gets the job done. Ben Hamlett, tremendous work there.
Just a moment of individual brilliance, isn't it? And these are the moments that can determine football games and make all the difference. And that was superb from Hamlett.
Long it comes from Hickey. Should be picked up by Schmidt, it is. Nudged away. It's Hall who bursts. Finds Kemp. They look a little more energetic now, South Hobart. Hall picks it up. Turns. He's taken off him by Hickey with a little help from friends in Moons. Finds Meredith, the lettuce farmer. Finds Hoy. Runs off his boot. Now for a throw-in. Schmidt thrown for Morton. Pressure coming from Drake. Gets by him, and then Farquhar gets a boot in but doesn't deal with it. Dropped off from Kemp. Leszczynski just on a different wavelength. And picked up from little Rowan Gillum.
Sublime ball from Kemp, though. If Leszczynski had been on the same page, it could have been 3-1. Such an intelligent pass to make, and Big Albie just moaning he didn't make the run. I think that's spilled out of play, so Hoy's bursting run will be halted in its path. Lewis gives a wry little smile. The Canadian not terribly pleased, but definitely seemed out as Farquhar launches this one forward. Battle up top between the big fella and Brown, and fall to Glynn's feet. He cuts it inside, but showed far too much of it to Brown. It'll find its way back to Vandermeer. He quickly launches it forward because he spied Hoy in space, but the ball just floated in the breeze there and stopped short of him. Burns on a different wavelength again there with Hoy. Thought the pass was coming. It wasn't. Leszczynski with a beautiful little flick to Hamlett. He's got Morton bursting through the middle. It was overhit though. Oh, he had acres in front of him. Morton could have strolled in and made it 3-1. Just the long ball in the end, but looking a little bit vulnerable at the back at the moment, the Warriors. So Hobart have started this second half brightly. They've come out firing. Ball turns, play on, says the referee. Drake dinks it over the top. Wilson will collect at the top of his area and immediately launch a counter in front of Luke Farrell. A real pace to this second half so far from South Hobart, really looking to put the hammer down. Here is Leszczynski. He turns, and Mearns was there to pick his pocket. Leszczynski persevered though and won the ball for his side well. Farrell competing there with Vivakos. It's scrappy at the moment. Leszczynski saunters forward and then plays it behind Hamlett, who loses it, and now he floats one into the mixer. Morton might fancy this, but Vandermeer was strong, and Drake is away to his compatriot Hoy. Scrapping at him was Schmidt, but Hoy turns on and turns inside. Beautiful football here from Gavin Hoy. He now sights through the middle of the ground. This is lovely work from Hoy. What can he do? He drops it off for Mearns. He'll assess his options. Hoy retreats. Goes in the direction of Glynn. Turner got back though, and Hoy with a very optimistic volley from range.
Don't mind it. Don't mind it. Pose some questions early. Get the pressure back on South Hobart. There's Wilson over this one. Kicks long from the edge of his box. Over the head of Leszczynski. It might sit for Hamlett. It doesn't as Farquhar sees clear. Picked up from Leszczynski to Hamlett. Back inside. It's with Kemp. It's blocked. Mearns now finds Samet. He goes long over the defensive line of South Hobart. Glynn looking to track it down. It's Brown who's first to it and finds Farrell. Sends inside again. This time it's Lewis. Strolls away. Not a heap offering on for Lewis. He plays it long, direct down the right side. There was not a lot ahead of Lewis on that occasion. you said they started with a bit of pace and a bit of energy. That was really flat-footed. It was not something you're accustomed to seeing from South Hobart. Used to seeing bodies moving. Drake now throws in. Meredith gives it back to him. Drake sends it down the line. Lewis high up and under. It's Hamlett who comes out with it, but he handles it in the process.
Well, the wind's back.
And here comes that wind Brewster. It's Hickey over the ball. This one may well hold up. Sprays it out of play.
Had 8 minutes without it, Olympia. So unfortunately conceded in that time. It's well, it's really back. See this one headed in the air. It floats backwards. Drake gets ahead to it. Burns turns. Big Glynn dropped it off for the lettuce farmer, but he couldn't get it. Now Hickey will strain and get in there ahead of Hamlett. Did well. Hoy looks up. Dinks it centrally, but cut out by Brown. Burns with a foot to it. Connor Schmidt up against the giant Glynn. He turns inside. Well done by the big fella. Won it back for his team. And a fancy spin from Burns. Oh, it was class. Here's Hoy. Burns will continue his run. Hoy waits for the opening. Faked in the end. Looked to turn back inside. Might have been better served. Just trying to release Nick Burns instead. Leszczynski gets cut out by the Canadian Drake. Oh, more fancy footwork from the fullback. Oh, more fancy footwork. Somehow keeps it in. Another step over. He's putting on a show down the flank today, Zach Drake.
Such a quality player is Drake. This throw comes along down the line. Picks out Meredith. Inside, lofts a ball. Sits well for Glynn. He doesn't strike. It comes for Hoy from the ball and squares it up. And Brown cuts it off. Plenty of red shirts back for South Hobart, but decent movement from Olympia. That's better. Glynn looked to shield it. Came for Hoy. Came back. And it was a vital intervention there from Brown. Inside from Farrell. And now with Lewis and Schmidt. Drake first to it. He's out of play. Drake and Hamlett colliding now. So interesting matchup there as it is rocketed forward from Hickey. Holds up. Lewis wins away from Meredith. Finds Leszczynski. Looks inside. It's blocked. But it finds Kemp. Kemp now for Farrell. Plenty of space to use. Finds Hall. Breezes past him. We'll look down to the box now, Hall. A good touch. Looks to lay back for Turner. It's off an Olympia boot. And in the end, all they can do is helplessly hit it into the side netting. A goal kick. Rowan Gillum, who's had a pretty handy afternoon, really. So played out on the right to Farquhar. He goes long and direct. Sits up for Lewis. Heads into the path of Kemp. Kemp does enough to see to Hall. Can't be Vivakos, who shoves him aside. Picks out Hickey. Back to the defence of Farquhar. And Gillum. Gillum bounces forward. Picked up by Kemp. And then it's Morton. Look to use a pace. He blasts this one high and wide onto the roof behind the ground. And some Bronx cheers there from the Olympia faithful.
Fair to say there's not a lot of love lost between the Olympia faithful and Nick Morton. If we remember back to the opening night of the season, just gave him a few money symbols when he scored and fired him up a bit. It's all good banter though, and I'm sure Nick Morton could care less what the Olympia fans think of him. It's certainly not quite been his day so far. But with his side leading 2-1, he may well have the last laugh. Schmidt competes with Hoy, and Hoy does really well to win it. I thought he might have been fouled. Play on, says the referee, and it's launched forward. Aaron Gillum should be able to sweep this one up. He does. It's going to be a lot tougher for the Warriors in this second half with this stiff breeze they're kicking into. See, it affects the goal kick here. The lettuce farmer got a foot to it. Hickey, his pass went straight though to Leszczynski. Darcy Hall looks to turn. He's running at Vivakos. He gets in behind. It's a storming run. He cuts it back. Oh, really well read by Vandermeer. Leszczynski. Oh, he's over the back post. He's back to the other side. He has two. He's still over to a 3-1 lead. Oh, he was all on his own. You can't give him that much time and space. It was all set up by a storming run from Darcy Hall. Once again, he's gotten away from Zach Drake. It took a cruel deflection. I thought it was really well cut out. Leszczynski, I don't know if it was a shot or a pass. I think it might have been a shot. It worked out all right, though. 3-1.
Cries of offside, but just simply couldn't have been because Drake and Vavakos, I think it was, were almost on the byline. So he was free and open and onside and helped himself to a second. What a return to the starting lineup for the Hammer time. He's fired up, and it looks like being South Hobart's day now as Jack Cullen comes on to replace George Vavakos, who's had his hands full on the flank. Goal kick. They're spreading numbers forward. Back for Vandermeer, and then Gillum. Pulled off some nice saves in that opening half. Farquhar, very adventurous. Looks to find Salmon. It's won by Farrell. Kemp loses it. Hickey weasels his way out of traffic. Back for Farquhar. Just dinks along. It's Brown who will win in the air and find Kemp. Keeps it alive. Hugging the line. He goes back for Brown, who does well. Just cut it down the left-hand side. Farrell might just run onto this one. No, it's Farquhar, who with a slip clears it and sends it out of play. We are into the hour mark, Brewster.
And it's Olympia now with their backs to the walls, 3-1 down. It's going to be really tough to score 2 goals against this breeze for them. South Hobart have come firing out of the blocks in this second half. They've taken full advantage. A couple of defensive lapses, and this one's crossed to the back post where Turner's going. It might fall for Hamlett. Oh, almost had his hat-trick. He skewed his volley, though. In the end, somewhat unconvincingly clear. Leszczynski will try and keep it alive, and they survive in the end, but they're looking rattled at the back at the moment. Leszczynski sets it up for Morton at the top of the box. He went low. Just lacked conviction in the shot there from Nick Morton. But the pressure really building. It's all one-way traffic. They're absolutely dominating this contest at the moment, South Hobart. They've got 2 goals in the second half to show for it. Gillum just did enough to clear it, but only as far as Hamlett, who could well have had his third. That would have been game over if it isn't already. The skull kick just sits up in the wind. They're really making the most of this advantage, South Hobart. We thought it was going to be a lot tougher for Olympia in the second half, and so it's proved. Zach Drake drops it to Hoy. He's going to continue a storming run forward here. He does well. The 2 Canadians linking up beautifully, but Kemp was across to shut that down, and now they might be vulnerable the other way with Drake still upfield. Here's Kobe Kemp. He sweeps it across the field, but back to deal with that there. And Leszczynski drops it for Hall. Darcy Hall turns and shoots from range. Gillum does well and puts it behind for a corner.
Tips it wide, so another corner here as we see that fizzing drive off the boot of Darcy Hall. Well saved at his near post by Gillum. Corner now to be sent in. So South Hobart, they can put another one away. That would be lights out for Olympia. Real arm wrestle of the first half. The win certainly coming into it. Olympia probably didn't maximise the advantage they had. So Kemp just send it in from the left-hand side. It's a ball to the front post. Rising high is Brown. He gets a piece of it. Stays alive on the byline from Kemp to Leszczynski on the outside of his boot. He strikes the side netting. And Olympia can breathe a sigh of relief and try and mount a comeback here. 2 goals adrift of the hosts. A bit of work to do. Gillum long. It's well done by Hoy. Good body position sees him win this one. A nice ball for Glynn. Asking a bit of the tall talisman. And it's Farrell who uses his pace to get first to it and send it out of play. So Olympia now forced to chase the game. Another loss here would be almost crippling blow to their title hopes, you'd assume, as it comes in from Cullen, the substitute. Glynn can't get a piece of it. Brown wins it. Smashes forward, nobody home. Happy to just clear the half. From Gillum to Vandermeer. Finds Hickey, who turns and spins and finds his skipper. Goes along. Diagonal ball looking for Sammet. Finds him. There's a nice bit of work, but Farrell straight on him. Wins it. From Morton, flicked on. Back from Leszczynski. Morton to breach the box now. He'll look to shoot. he fires home into the bottom right, and there's a 100% chance Morton's going to have a word to say about this one. He's got plenty to say about it. Morton puts the ear up to the crowd, asks for the noise, forever the villain, and he finishes this one into the bottom right. That's more of the clinical Nick Morton we're used to.
Doesn't he relish being the villain, though? He loves it.
Absolutely loves it.
4-1.
Lives off it.
Hobart racing away with this one. Nick Morton hit the target that time. He may have had miss of the season, or millennium as you've called it, but I tell you what, he has had the last laugh here today, and you'd have to say that's probably game over now. South Hobart absolutely clinical, and the inexperienced back four are just being cut to pieces now by South Hobart. They're finding life really tough fighting against this wind Olympia, and South Hobart just blitzing it at the moment. It's
could get ugly, couldn't it, Drew? Could get ugly. I mean, it's already fairly ugly at 4-1.
We saw 6-3 in the opening game of the season when they met, and there's certainly every chance South Hobart are going to look to put them to the sword here. There's not a lot of love lost between the teams. Darcy Hall gets up and drives it forward. He's hammer time. Left it for Morton, but he should be able to clear. Drake drops it off for Hoy. That's Schmidt getting into the back of him a little bit, and he retreats to Drake, and he's backing a few basic errors now. That one just floats out of play. Leszczynski with the flick on. South Hobart really pressing it. Here's Kemp, got in ahead of Meredith. Laid it off for Hamlett. His touch was heavy. Burns should be able to clear the area. Trying to pass the ball out from the back here, and impressive South Hobart's causing problems for them, and they've turned it over again. Here is Darcy Hall. Into the middle to Lewis. Oh, showed too much of it. Hoy, can he get in there? He does. Finds the lettuce farmer Meredith. Hoy now, it's opening up for Olympia, but South Hobart getting numbers back, and they just did enough to deny the little Canadian who's on the ball on a string here. And finally, he draws the foul, and no, he's playing the other one. Well, I'm a little bit staggered as to that. It would seem to...
He's been kicked in the leg by Morton there. I can see maybe Horder caught the second piece of it where he just took a tumble into Lewis.
He's taken Lewis out. He's got taken out himself.
Yeah, interesting one. But there was a foul on one hand and a foul on the other, and he blew the second, I guess, as it comes from Farrell. Back through Turner. Seen out from Hickey. A throw in now. In from Farrell, flicked on from Leszczynski, just misses his target. He's back from Kemp to Lewis, spreads wide, chested down. Hamlett to the back post, to Turner! Heads wide to the right. Goes right at the top of the six in the finish. Superb silver service from Hamlett, who has been all over in this second half in particular. Look at that service. And Turner just nodding wide. It looks like South Hobart will make a change. And that's enough hammer time for one game. Off he comes, Big Ben Hamlett. Without a doubt, the match winner.
Doesn't he love it? And what a performance from him. He's been given the start today. Morton showed faith in him. He's first starting quite a while in the league, I thought, and hasn't he just made the most of it? An outstanding display, and one of the goals of the season, that left-footed shot that found the top corner. Might not even be goal of the week thanks to Lionel Atkinson, but an absolute special goal and a great performance from him on his return to the starting lineup. And I'd have thought he might have a few more starts after that.
I think it'll be straight in that starting lineup from now on. He's the match winner today. Alfred Hess, I tell you what, didn't muck around, comes straight on and fouls Vandermeer. Another foul. This time it's Turner. A slice of cheese for him. He's earned that one. I reckon it's his 6th or 7th foul of a similar nature.
Real scrapper, isn't he?
Just really been biting away. So Turner into the book. Olympia with a heap to do here as we're in the 68 minutes. As we just see just a little hand from Turner. Mearns puts it into the box. At the top of the box is headed away from Kemp. Mearns will pick this one up very casually. finds Farquhar, invites a bit of pressure on himself, and then dashes by a couple. Finds Drake, back for Hickey, wavers a little and then gets it through. Picked up from Meredith, good first touch. Mearns loses it from Lewis and puts it down the line. Out of play for a Warriors throw. It's really dropped a degree or two here. It's a real chill factor here at Darcy Street, and Hoy's first touch lets him down. Out of play. So Schmidt down the line, cut off from Vandermeer, picked up from Meredith, inside, finds Hickey. It's blocked as it looks for Glynn. Brown, good pressure coming, finds Morton to great effect. From Hess to Turner in the bullseye. Aiton comes through Turner out on the left-hand side. Hall cuts inside, off the back of Cullen, they might just escape here. Hickey to Hoy, nudges in, looking for Meredith. A nicely timed boot from Schmidt, sees it clear, and then Lewis just kicks for touch. Gillen comes out to collect. White on the right, finds Farquhar, who's been getting fairly adventurous, and here he goes here on a break. He'll find Meredith inside, looking for a return ball. No runner came, and now Morton will break away. Out on the left he looks to play it through Farquhar. Meets him. Colour from Mearns and then Vandermeer. Looks out on the left. Contest between Hoy and Schmidt. Schmidt into the back of the Hoy. It's won by Drake though as he lofts long. Lewis brings it down. Been busy in this second stanza, and then Brown looks to make sure of it. Wynn holds it up somewhat. Now they battle for it out on the wing. Hickey smothered and loses it. Schmidt goes into the middle. Flicked on from Leszczynski. A great flick on from the target man. Picks out Hess. From the right wing, looks to cross. And then Vandermeer looks to avoid a corner. And in the end, it's out of a Drake boot for a throw-in.
70 minutes gone. South Hobart pressing for a fifth goal here. Disappointed they threw away points last week against Zebras, and they've come out firing today as Schmidt loses to Drake. Sliding in was the Mordhog Morton. Oh, he keeps persevering, and wanted a foul, but none forthcoming, and Vandermeer in the end just whacks it into touch. It's been another convincing display from Morton's men, and with Zebras slipping up, they will close the gap at the top this week. Devonport, our new league leaders, but today's result, once again, Olympia falling to a top three teams. Leszczynski curls one. Leszczynski makes it 5. Curled it in the back post. I was just saying they're showing that there's a gap between the top three and them, and we're seeing that increasingly today. She's a 3-horse race for the title, and South Hobart have struck back in that race today. A real curler from Leszczynski here. Threw a few bodies, and Rom just picked it up late.
Cheeky little left boot, wasn't it? Just squeezed its way into the bottom corner.
5-1. This is dominance now from South Hobart.
Really stamping themselves on this contest. Just running away. Hickey wide, finds Cullen from Farquhar. Looks long with his ball over the top. Farrell across to meet it. There for Brown. Glynn with a touch, but not enough to avoid its trajectory. Morton meets the ball, and Mearns came in with a head, so I think it'll be a Warriors ball. High boot from from Morton. Maybe a little unfortunate there. He was more so a low head than a high boot. Hoy over the ball. Chips in. Looking for Vandermeer, sits off his chest. Oh, he tries a lightning strike on the left boot. Finds the side netting. Here we go here, whack. And wide. Not too far off, though, from the Warriors skipper.
Yep, nearly made it 5-2, which coincidentally is the score in the Women's Super League up north now. Adelaide Aiton scoring for Saruna to cut the margin back to 5-2, but seems like a fairly similar setup here with the favourites putting 5 past their opponents up there. Similar conditions too from all reports, as the ball is run back in midfield by Mearns. Morton then took it. Hickey loses it to Leszczynski. Here's Freddie Hess. He'll want to make an impact now that Hamlett staked his claim for a starting 11 spot. Big 20 minutes or so here for Freddie Hess. He was so impressive in the early parts of the season, but some real depth in this South Hobart squad. Here's Darcy Hall, showed Gavin Hoy too much of it, and now they'll counter back the other way. They want to get forward in the direction of Glynn, but couldn't find him. He's toiled hard, Glynn, but hasn't had much service in the second half, and that ball just floats on through to put them in goals. Vandermeer on it, and he gets his head up and whacks it down the line in the direction of the lettuce farmer. Is in behind Schmidt. Lewis coming across as the lettuce farmer, just perhaps spying.
Wasteful.
Keeper off his line. I don't know if it was a lob or a poor cross. Either way, as you've mentioned, Gilly, quite wasteful, and they've not had enough of the ball in attacking areas to be wasting it. The game well and truly over now as Hess has played in. This is lovely flowing football from South Hobart. Leszczynski turns Farquhar, who's had his measure today, and kept a hold of it here. Played a 1-2 with Hess and then charged on into the box here, Leszczynski, but Farquhar recovered well. Looked it away from him, well defended there by the youngster. Boy looks up, Kemp back in on him excellently. Another outstanding display in the middle from Kobe Kemp today. So reliable, Morton with a fancy footwork and go around Hoy. Drake can't get the ball back off Kemp. He drops it back, and they're just really a leg time here at Darcy Street, just maintaining the ball, making Olympia chase it and dominating the contest, and they still can't win it back. Darcy Hall, finally they do. Mearns to Hoy, he's got Meredith on. Lewis was up and pressing and closed that option down though. Hickey shifts it out right to Callan. He charges forward, looks it across to Samet. What can he do? It's intercepted and out of play for a throw-in as a substitute being ready by South Hobart. Looks like young Alex Walter's going to come on, and Darcy Hall's day is done. He battled hard at times. Hall struggled a bit when he's had Drake marking him, but when he was able to get away from him, you saw why he was man-marked, because he really gave the Marcos big problems.
That goal really saw his confidence rise in a big, big way. I thought he held his own out there today, Darcy Hall. Good goal and a decent performance all round. Drake did well on him as well though, mind you, but found some freedom on the other side. Throw in now. Callan in. Glynn bobbles up on him, back through Callan. Might have just earned Olympia a corner. No, it's yes, indeed he has. So our Warriors corner.
Another update from up north. Perhaps Turner making a late run. Daisy Parcell with a goal. 5-3 now up there.
Very interesting. So the corner now from Hoy. Maybe a bit of wind at play there, Drewster, as it comes in. It's acrobatic from Mearns. It was a tremendous effort, but just straight at Wilson in the finish, and he collects. Long it comes. Picked up from Walter, in for Schmidt. Almost finds Kemp. It's won by the substitute Meredith. Out for another substitute in Brayton Allen. Looks to get it through. And straight to Wilson. Wilson short for Kemp. Squeezes it out for Schmidt. Schmidt misses Walter with a short pass. Inside from Drake, from Hickey. Back to Mearns, navigates traffic, does well. Back again through Hickey, cleared away from Farrell. It's Vandermeer who almost wins it. He does win it rather on his own, but almost deals with it. Had a couple of bites of the cherry, and in the end it's put out, and the throw-in comes down the right-hand side, and Farquhar will negotiate that one and just watch it over.
You have a look at the Mearns acrobatics. That would have been some goal. Beautiful technique to get his foot around it there, Nick Mearns. Straight at Wilson, however. 5-1 the score to South Hobart. What a display. What a response after a disappointing result last week when they led 2-0 to draw 2-2 with the Zebras, and a little bit failed to close the gap to the top. But looks like it's going to be them on 19. Zebras 20, Devonport 21 is the offside flag. It's a nice Nick Morton getting in behind. The title race really shaping up nicely in South Hobart with a big win here today. Firmly in the thick of it. A real statement, I reckon, this victory. disappointed last week, and so often in the league, the end product is about how you respond, and they've responded quite superbly. As Hoy wins the ball away from Freddie Hess and lays it back for Jack Callan. Leszczynski's going to be the man it spills to, and they're off to the races again. They've got a 4v4 opening up here, South Hobart. In the end, maybe just took a little bit of time. Here now is Walter in space. Shot first time off the other side of the post. Leszczynski nods it wide. Oh, I don't know if he was offside, but he missed the sitter if so. Walter curling it. So we have a look here, and no, I reckon I don't know if he was offside or not, but Leszczynski really, I don't know how he's missed that one. So 5-1, they've missed two absolute sitters.
Tell you what, I was a bit sceptical when he took that first time, Walter, but what a strike. Very nearly found its place in the net. It was picked up from Hickey. Back for Gillum. Long and high it goes. Hoy under it. Takes a touch. Off Farrell. Picked up by Kemp. And then it's one back through Allen. Leszczynski on the ball. Out on the right-hand side, picks out Walter. Walter zips along and looks to dink it into the box. It's cut off right at the edge from Drake, and then it's a long-range roost. Doesn't catch Gillum off guard. He's down to collect. Farquhar. Someone on the far side who's down in a bit of trouble.
Kobe
Kemp, yeah. You don't see him go down too often, Kobe Kemp.
This could be a real worry for South Hobart.
I think the last time I saw him go down in serious discomfort was when Jack Turner ran through him as a Kimber Lions player.
Yeah, this would be a massive blow if he was to miss any time. They certainly can't afford to have their star man out in the midfield. As he gets some treatment now on an ankle, but not sure what happened, whether it was in the play or just off the ball, but he's getting back to his feet, so looks very proppy though. Very proppy, so imagine he gets subbed off. Yeah, he's not even going to walk to the other side of the ground. He's hobbling off near side, so that's a real worry, and it could be, I suppose, a disappointing end to the day. Is that young Oscar Thomas coming on? A nice spy for his first involvement of the year. I think it is. So Kemp will be replaced by him, and he's in the hands of the trainer over there, Kobe Kemp, and he's really struggling, so that's a big concern as Oscar Thomas strolls on for his first involvement of the year. Really impressive young defender, was an absolute star in that FFA Cup game they had last year up in Sydney, and the fact that he hasn't played any minutes this year just points to the real strength that they have in this squad, as Lewis is out after this one. He appears to be playing out on the right back position for now. I know he's played centre back. Brown's going to drop into midfield and Thomas is going to play defence. With Kemp going off, and he hasn't moved very far on the far sideline. Kobe Kemp watch at the moment. A real blot on what's been a pretty good day as Brown wins that back. Hess now in the bullseye, looks up, gets his head up and charges through a few of them. Mearns, he did really well to win the ball there from behind Nick Mearns. He's fought hard, he can hold his head high. And he's just lacked a few supporters in his side, really, as Morton wins the ball back.
Farquhar on the ball. Spreads wide, finds Drake. Drake threads the needle into midfield, picks out Mearns, who does well to turn his opponent. In Hess, it's a beautiful ball for Allen, but it's Farrell who jumps in and scurries it clear. Through for Leszczynski, back for Farrell, and Hoy jumps in and sends it out of play. As we're into 80 minutes, this game really just fizzling out. Oscar Thomas introduced, which means Dan Brown has stepped into midfield in place of Kemp. Comes long down the line. Leszczynski tries to head it into the path of Hess. Vandermeer jumps in. Farrell picks it up. Finds Leszczynski, who tries an ambitious deft shot. And it won't trouble Rowan Gillum. He collects. Rowan Gillum's probably been a whole lot better than 5 goals against, to be honest. As it comes along, Meredith brings it down. The big man jumps in. The big Irishman finds Moons. Now Drake looks inside. It's a long, powerfully struck diagonal. Under it is Farrell. Has it to himself. Looking for Morton. Just eludes him. Drake comes in with legs flying all over the place. Wins the ball, but gets a fair piece of Hess. And he's shown a yellow and a red. And that's the end of Drake's day. Adding, well, not injury to insult, but adding suspension to what has been a pretty dour game for the Warriors in the end. But it looked like a card for me. We came flying in, studs raised. You're always going to struggle when that happens. If you get a piece of someone, you got to enter the book, and that's the end of Drake's day. That
open wound that South Hobart have just opened up with 5 goals here, they've just poured a whole lot of salt into it. A pretty dark old day for the Warriors, and now they're going to be without their star man Drake next week. So that is a big blow. It really couldn't get much worse for Olympia at the moment. I suppose it could if Turner could curl on him from range. He made very good contact. It was better get in at the back post, but Gillum Ryan was there. Ryan Gillum rather does really well. Parry that one away. That's a good stop. Here is Luke Farrell now. 10 men. We could see a 6th goal. South Hobart would certainly love it. Hauled down. No fouls is the referee, and South Hobart will look to take advantage. Meredith with a poor clearance went straight to the Morton who fires from range. That one's dealt with by Callan, and it'll be South Hobart corner after the wind just picks it up. So, set piece here, and with the wind howling, it's going to be tough again for the young keeper. They'll take it short to Morton, who cuts inside. Farquhar across Morton with the fancy footwork. Walter drives it across the face. He may have made a save there. Leszczynski blazes over the top. I think Gillum might have made a stop there. Initially, it was a thumping shot over the top from Leszczynski in the end. And somehow it stayed out, not being 6-1. South Hobart firmly in command here as the wind continues to howl through Darcy Street, making life very, very difficult for the 10 men of Olympia. This one is going sideways almost. It's headed on to the path of Hess, but Callan gets there ahead of him and directs it. And Luke Farrell will see it out of play. He'll take the throw in. South are still pushing it, still searching. Chipped over the top, the big fella. This will sit in his path nicely here. He nods it on. A chance here for Big Glynn. He's put it wide. And disappointing finish in the end, although the corner is adjudged. Must have got a little piece of it, the defender. I thought it was a clean strike, although not a good strike. Really should have made it 5-2 there, Gilly.
Should have been. It was a nice breakaway. I'm not sure how that one's a corner. Maybe Thomas got a bit of it. So Hoy to bring it in. Really just searching for mere consolation here. The Warriors into the front post. It's a nice bit of service, but it's Turner who gets on the end of it. So it'll be another corner, this time from the opposite side.
Gavin Hoy strolls across to take it for the Warriors. It's this game just about done with. And they find a consolation marker. Not with delivery like that. Straight to the near post to Morton. Walter gets there first, but his touch was heavy and it spills out of play. It was coming together between Hoy and Walter. This is the little Canadian will look to find the feet of Mearns, but he's immediately swamped by South Hobart shirts. Farquhar. Oh, that was a poor switching of the play. Straight to Freddie Hess. But he goes straight to the legs of Farquhar. And it's opening up from here again. Walter's got space down the right. Leszczynski and Hess to pick out. Picked out only Shea Hickey, who worked back well. And Farquhar will carry it out of defence. Meredith and Lewis coming up behind him. They've turned it over. Here's Morton. He's going to keep going. He crosses dangerously in the Leszczynski direction, was sliding in. And it spills behind for a goal kick.
Goal kick with not too much longer left in this one, really, Drewster. You'd think it's just about over Red Rover. So we got 2 minutes in normal time. Some added time, you wouldn't think it'd be a great deal. Rowan Gillum over the ball to bring it back into play. Long, it just sits up and blows back at them. In the end, it's bounced out of play, so the wind really howling here and really assisting South Hobart in this second half. Farrell down for Hess. Looking for Leszczynski as it's stolen from him. Picked up for Hoy. Taken off his boot by Farrell. Puts it inside for Leszczynski. Drops it off for Turner. Mearns first to it. Turner again. Leszczynski fashions a shot. And there's a handball in the process, I believe. And Olympia should escape now and see it out. Hickey wide. Finds Farquhar. Back for Gillum. That'll just sit up in the air again. The wind doing Gillum no favours. Dinked over the top, and Leszczynski's offside. So 5-1 it is here at Darcy Street. 1-1 at half-time, and South Hobart have just run away with this contest. Comes along. Lewis brings it down for the runner Schmidt. Meredith blocks it. Lewis should beat him to it. Slides in, gets it. Meredith gets a fair piece of Lewis in the process. Lewis looks in a bit of strife.
Right on the knee, I think.
He's copped it on the knee.
Ooh,
he looks in trouble. It's a yellow card for Meredith. It did look nasty, didn't it?
Yeah,
his contact.
You can see on his face straight away. It's just in front of us down there. He looked in real pain immediately, Lewis, and he's not moved since. He still looks in some distress. This is really disappointing. I'm seeing Kemp hurt earlier. Now Lewis, he's getting back to his feet, so that's a good sign that it's nothing structural. But certainly looks very sore. He's going to limp off here with just stoppage time to play. I don't know if we'll see him again for the rest of the day, although he's back on his feet now, which is a good sign. So nothing too serious there. Just a bit of a stinger, I think. Turner flicks on inventively. Oh, found Leszczynski perfectly. He laid it off for Hess. Number 6 could be on the cards here. Freddie Hess looks to stand up Callan, but it was well defended there by Jack Callan, and he puts it into touch. And Lewis is back on the field, so just a bit of an impact injury rather than anything serious, which is good to see because we were fearing the worst there for a moment. Already having Kobe Kemp limping off earlier today would be a real blow on what's been a pretty good day for the club here. Otherwise, Leszczynski looks to turn Callan, just holding onto the ball, waiting, delays, then tried to fashion one to Hess. In the end, they work it to Turner. Morton spreads it wide. Will Schmidt get there before the line? He does. Connor Schmidt stops it, and then Lettuce Farmer is across to shut that down and put it behind for a corner. 92 minutes going by. It'll be 3 minutes of added time, I'd imagine. So it can't be too much longer left, although after yesterday's 10 minutes, I'm not sure I'm the best judge of it.
Bit of Fergie time there yesterday. Picked up. It's Schmidt who puts in the corner. Oscar Thomas comes out to get it, but it's Hoy who picks it up. Thomas wins. They look to run away on a rare attacking spell. Puts it into the middle. It's Callan who picks it up. Finds Hoy. Hickey just gets it out in front of the run of Farquhar. He finds Brayton Allen. He overshoots his pass, but it still might work. As Glynn picks it up, does well. Puts it in the middle, chested down from Morton. Lewis looks to have recovered and can clear. Off the boot of Walter. Callan in front. Sees it down the line. Picked up by Lewis. That's full time here at Darcy Street. 5-1 to South Hobart. A big win for the club. And they keep pace with the ladder leaders and make full advantage of a little slip up from the Zebras yesterday.
A big win and a big gap now between 3rd and 4th in the league. 7 points already after 8 weeks. There's just 2 points separating the top 3, but it does appear now after today's result to very much be your 3-horse race. There's a fair gulf between these two teams today, especially in that second half where South Hobart really put them to the sword. A commanding display. It was a cracking first 45, but when South Hobart had the winds at their back in the second half, they really wore them down and absolutely took full advantage. They were the better team today, and they've crushed the Warriors 5-1 as they put some distance between them. That goal from Ben Hamlett, the real highlight. It set the tone for what was to come in the second half. A thumping victory for South Hobart. We'll leave you with the highlights. Stay tuned to Slice of Cheese for all your NPL coverage throughout the week. South Hobart with a commanding win to make it a very tight scenario at the top indeed. Bye for now.
Maybe slightly less controversial.